Hello and welcome to this 60 subscribers special, which I decided to call Qanda. So yes, this is a Q&A, if you haven't already gathered by my last video. I'm going to be answering your questions to celebrate 60 subscribers. I've got a fair amount here and they are all very good questions. And bear in mind, I'm terrible at picking favourites. I don't like picking favourites because I always feel like I'm doing a disservice to something else if I pick a favourite. So I might struggle with those type of questions. But I'm going to do my very best to answer all these questions, as they are really good questions, a lot of these. So without further ado, let's begin. This one is about a topic that really inspired me to do this Q&A to begin with, was so I could talk about Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. Okay, Richard Gill asks, I love the concept of a female Doctor completely. Is the biggest issue just one of pronouns? Yeah, pronouns are going to be a bit of an issue. See, Moffat always jokes that he can't talk about the character of the Master without going him/her, because, of course, he turned her into Missy. Even I'm getting mixed up now, and it turned him into Missy. So, the simplest way of looking at it is, with Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, we'll refer to that incarnation with female pronouns, but the others with male pronouns, because she's the only female Doctor we have so far. But I'm sure we'll have many others in the future if this is a success. But I did a whole video on casting the 13th Doctor. I even mentioned Jodie Whittaker in the video because she was a really late bookie's favourite, but I never expected it would be her. Because I always thought a female Doctor was always going to be on the cards. It was almost inevitable that that was going to happen. It was canonised in the new series that can occur, but it's been, if you actually look back at interviews, I think it's been a possibility since the early 80s, if not earlier. One of the original creators of Doctor Who, Sidney Newman, he wrote into the BBC to say, I think you should have a female lead. So it's always been a possibility. It's just, I just never expected them to do this, because I thought Chris Chibnall would want something kind of safe for his relaunch of the show. I thought you'd want something very safe, but no. He's not even started filming his next series, and already he's made the biggest change he possibly could have done. This will immediately get people to watch the show. Like Doctor Who, in overseas, it's doing really well. It's insanely popular in America, but in the UK, it's been declining in popularity and sort of public interest. And I think a lot of that is sort of the storytelling. The storytelling isn't very accessible now. It does rely a lot on continuity. So you needed something to pull people back in. This was like the most talked about thing for 2 days. It was front page news. It's like the most it's been talked about since, I think debatably, the 50th anniversary. I think this is the biggest thing since then. But so yeah, Jodie Whittaker as a choice. I think she's really good. I think she's a very good actress. She was fantastic in Broadchurch. She's in Attack the Block 2, where she stars alongside a pre-Force Awakens John Boyega. She wasn't in St. Trinian's, though, kind of a forgettable role from what I've seen. I've never seen the first one, I've seen the second, and I can't remember her being in the second. Apparently she was, because it's on IMDb. And David Tennant's in that, so is that a multi-Doctor story? I guess not, because they don't interact, which is a bit of a shame. But she's starred alongside Chris Eccleston and David Tennant and David Bradley. She's already starred alongside 3 other Doctors. That's just insane. Beforehand, I wasn't really sure if I wanted a female Doctor. I was just sort of worried about the backlash, and I was worried with a new Doctor. If the Doctor was made female, people would think of it as pandering. But and some people have. Some people are thinking, oh, it's just PC gone mad. It's just they're just pandering to feminists or something like that. But I would consider it pandering if they just cast an actress because she's a woman. Jodie Whittaker, even if you take the fact that she's a woman out of it, that's a good choice. That's a really good choice for the Doctor. She's got all the right experience, she's got the right range for it, and it has been controversial amongst some people. It has been controversial amongst some people, but something that I sort of strongly argue is that the most of the backlash, I'm going to say like 80% of the backlash isn't from fans, as in fans who actually understand the character of the Doctor, understand the show. Most of them have no issue with this. They accepted her with open arms, immediately didn't even address the fact she was a woman. They just thought, that's the Doctor. This should be treated no differently from any other transition in the show's history. But it's been the most talked about thing. People are talking about Doctor Who again. People are excited for it, and that's amazing. It's going to be the most exciting sort of shift since arguably 2010. I think we've had 7 years and the show's not changed that much. So this is going to be incredible. But yeah, the biggest issue might just be one of pronouns, because Jodie Whittaker is a fantastic actress and she'll make a fantastic Doctor. Being Issy asks multiple questions. Who was your favourite companion? If you could pick anyone to be the Doctor, who would it be and why? What's your favourite alien/monster on Doctor Who? When did you first start watching Doctor Who? What do you think about the rumours about Jenna Coleman returning in the Christmas special? Also, we should do a collab. I love your content, keep it up. And thank you, and yes, we should do a collab. I'd love to do something with you at some point. Who's your favourite companion? Okay, we're getting to the difficult ones now. That's going to be difficult. I think... Oh, this is going to be difficult. I really liked Bill. She was really what we needed. She was sort of this very fun-loving personality. It was really a good match for Capaldi's Doctor. I just wish we could have got more of it. Like, I wish Series 10 could have been Series 9 or even Series 8. It would have been amazing. And Nardole was great. Nardole was... He was such a different companion, but it really worked. Like, Matt Lucas is a great comedic actor, but he can do dramatic really well. I suppose, sort of nostalgically, I do sort of latch on to Amy, but that's kind of because that's sort of where I started watching the show, and that was kind of my era. Sarah Jane Smith, everyone universally agrees that Sarah Jane Smith is the best companion, mostly. And yes, she is a very good companion. Elizabeth Sladen was wonderful, and I grew up with her mostly with Sarah Jane Adventures, so, and she's wonderful. She's just a wonderful companion. So even though she wasn't the first companion, she's the perfect sort of blueprint to create a companion from. I don't really have a favourite companion. Yeah, so I'm going to say Sarah Jane. It's a bit of a cop-out answer, but yeah, Sarah Jane Smith. If you could pick anyone to be the Doctor, who would it be and why? I did do a video on this, casting the 13th Doctor, where I mentioned my two main choices are Patterson Joseph and James Nesbitt. James Nesbitt is just a really good actor. Yeah, he's got a great commanding presence to him. He can be very naturally charming and charismatic. He's just sort of got everything, to be honest. And Patterson Joseph, similar reasons. He's a really strong, dramatic character, but he can do sort of unhinged madness. If you've seen him in Peep Show, you know that he can do really quirky, really weird, but can also be strangely frightening. I think Rhys Shearsmith would be very good. He's already been in Doctor Who, but Rhys Shearsmith, he's a really strong actor. He's one of my favourite actors, to be honest. He's mostly associated with comedy, because he did The League of Gentlemen, but if you've seen Inside Number 9, you know that he can do so much more than that. He can do the whole gamut of emotions, and that's what you need with an actor who can play the Doctor. I think Eva Green would be incredible. Like I always say, that you need an actor who's convincingly not human, and Eva Green just sort of naturally has that. And no, I don't know, everyone agrees that Eva Green just has this sort of strange, detached, alien quality to her, and with the Doctor you need commanding screen presence, and Eva Green can do that. Like, you are instantly drawn to looking at her. Everything that everyone says Tilda Swinton has, I kind of think of Eva Green, that she just has this strange sort of kind of unexplainable aura around her, and I think that'd be perfect for a Doctor. Got 4 there, didn't I? It was James Nesbitt, Patterson Joseph, Rhys Shearsmith and Eva Green. What's your favourite alien/monster on Doctor Who? That's another difficult one. The Cybermen I do really like. The Cybermen, I think it's more the idea that we could feasibly become the Cybermen in the future. Sort of the body horror associated with it, when you sort of have to think there's a corpse inside that. You can do a lot of really creepy stuff with the Cybermen, and their design is great. You can recognise them as the same creature throughout all their incarnations, and it's such a simple but very sleek design that I really like. So the Cybermen are probably my favourite, but there's a lot of other ones I do really like one-off creatures. There's a creature in the 5th Doctor's era that I really like, called the Mara, which is basically this giant snake. It's not the most impressive looking snake. I mean, something about the concept of it and the fact that it goes into your mind and possesses people, and just sort of really great psychological horror. And I'd really love to see the Mara come back. I think you could do some really creepy stuff with it. So yeah, I'd say probably the Cybermen, but I do really like some of the one-off creatures. Okay, when did I start watching Doctor Who? Well, this could be a subject of a video in and of itself, but with Doctor Who, it was always around me. I always knew of it. My brother and sister were into Doctor Who more than me. I I didn't like the Daleks. Even the theme tune kind of scared me, and so yeah, I always got the notion that this was a really sort of scary show. That I saw some. I think I saw bits of The Runaway Bride. I remember the Rachnos. Earliest memory of Doctor Who was I think the earliest I can pinpoint was when I went into my brother's room, but they were watching on DVD The Unquiet Dead. The Ninth Doctor story. I remember it was the scene in the dungeon. It was that line, "I saw the fall of Troy, World War V, now I'm going to die in a dungeon in Cardiff." That was the line. That was the one I saw. I remember my dad laughing at that. And then I went away because it was, zombies in Victorian London. It was quite terrifying. I'm pretty sure I watched this live. I saw a bit at the End of Time, but part one I was a bit scared. But then I think the week after that, I gathered David Tennant's going to leave. So I thought, I might start watching this. So they showed me a lot of it. They sort of showed me what Regeneration was. And then I finally watched the final part of The End of Time live on New Year's Day. And the best bit was, I wasn't a fan, so I didn't follow any speculation. I didn't know who the 11th Doctor was going to be. I didn't know what they would look like. And it was Matt Smith. So then I watched it sort of religiously from that point on, and Series 5 is sort of my era. That might be why I'm so attached to the Moffat era. Yeah, so Series 5 was kind of my series. I loved it. I remember as soon as I sort of saw the 11th hour, I sort of went out and in my garden and sort of pretended to be the Doctor, and that was sort of start of all these toys and everything. Yeah, to answer your question, I started watching Doctor Who religiously in 2010. From the first day of 2010, it was January 1st when End of Time went out. So yeah, I started watching with Series 5. What do you think about the rumours about Jenna Coleman returning? It's not been confirmed by anything official, to my knowledge, but I think it's true. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's true. I think if Jenna Coleman is returning for the Christmas special, it's not going to be a big role, or at least I hope it isn't. I think her story's done. If it's just a cameo in the Christmas special, I'm fine with that. I don't see any issue. There's all of Issy's questions, which took up quite a while, but they're really good questions. And again, yes, I'd love to do a collab. Pete Messum has put top 5 favourite and least favourite Doctor Who episodes, and again, it's really hard for me to pick favourites. I'm going to pick 5 off the top of my head, and remember, I don't really rank them or anything, just favourite stories. The 11th Hour will always be special to me because that was the beginning of my era. Pyramids of Mars I really like, from the 4th Doctor era. Mind Warp, a really good sort of swan song for Perry. I do really like Dalek. I used to think it was kind of overrated, but no, it is really good. Actually, I'm going to put Terror of the Autons on there as well. I don't know what it is. John Pertwee's very good in it. Roger Delgado's great. Katie Manning's is the first appearance of Katie Manning as Jo. The Autons are really good. It's just a really good, solid story, and it's a nice one to watch. Okay, so The 11th Hour, Pyramids of Mars, Mind Warp, Terror of the Autons, Dalek. My least favourite Doctor Who episodes. A lot of the ones that get the most hate I do sort of defend, because a lot of them are in Moffat's era, and I do try and defend them to the best of my ability. Terror of the Vervoids, I think if I rewatch it, I might like it more, but when I first watched it, I was watching Trial of the Time Lord, I think almost nightly, for a few weeks. I was really enjoying it, and then after episode 1 of Terror of the Vervoids, I stopped for like 2 weeks. Because I don't know why, it was just... Maybe it was just the slow pace, maybe it was just that, but I just didn't find it interesting. Yeah, I didn't really like Terror of the Vervoids. Hellbent, it felt almost like a betrayal of the character, to be honest. I mean, I understand that's kind of what they were going for, but it's like, for example, in The Waters of Mars, the Doctor does the wrong thing in that story. When you get down to it, he's not in the right there. It's for an understandable cause. He's going through a lot of pain, but with the 12th Doctor, when he kills the General specifically, there's really no good reason for him to do that. You can't really side with it. You just feel really detached from the Doctor throughout the whole thing, and you really need to, for that story to have worked, you need to sympathise with him, and a lot of us just didn't. It didn't feel like the Doctor, and I know it wasn't supposed to be the Doctor, that he's supposed to become the hybrid, so to speak, but I really didn't like it. It did add some stuff to Time Lord mythology, so it's not an awful... It's probably not as bad as I made it out to be, but it's not a good finale. I think mostly, I don't usually hate a Doctor Who episode, I usually just sort of, if there is one that I didn't like, it's usually, I just didn't get into it, I just didn't find it that interesting. Like, Like a good example for me is the Empress of Mars. That by no means is a bad episode. It didn't really appeal to me. It just wasn't my type of story. But I can still acknowledge that it was good. So yeah, I can't really handle the top 5. Every Doctor Who episode has some redeeming qualities to it, because it's at the very least it's still Doctor Who. So yeah, sorry I couldn't give proper top 5s, but those are my best ones I can come up with. Do you think Red Dwarf lost its winning streak after Series 6 or even after Series 7, as some believe? Or people seem to think it peaks at Series 6 and then goes down. I'm kind of the opposite. I think Series 6, from what I can remember of watching it, Series 6 was my least favourite. At Series 7, a lot of the criticisms are valid, that the lack of a laughing track is quite noticeable. It's like when you watch clips from The Big Bang Theory or Friends, where they've taken the laughing track out and it just doesn't work at all. And the first episode, it took me a while to get used to it. After a while I did get used to it. In terms of the actual stories, they're actually pretty good stories. Like the first one is like them affecting the JFK assassination, or changing the JFK assassination. As far as a Red Dwarf JFK assassination story goes, that's a good one. It's well told. These are good stories in Series 7. Series 5 is my favourite series, from what I can remember. It's got the best episodes. I think Inquisitor is really good. Demons and Angels is quite a good one. So yeah, I think it did sort of lose its winning streak around Series 6, but it did improve. Another is, how do you think Baby Driver compares to Edgar Wright's other films? That Baby Driver's Edgar Wright's new film, and Edgar Wright is of course the director of Shaun the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, or the Cornetto trilogy as it's called, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And I think the thing with it, it's very different from Edgar Wright's other films. I think the big difference is it's the most grounded. This could happen. This is a perfectly grounded world, and there's not really too many sort of zany or manic characters. Yeah, with the Cornetto trilogy, it was kind of normal people in a very weird, zany world. What the hell's happened? No! It's gone back in time. It's turned into a website from the 90s. So Baby Driver, it's going for a very different tone, but it's still, there's elements of it that are still unmistakably Edgar Wright. The editing and sort of the mixing of the music, that's unmistakably Edgar Wright. Maybe in terms of a comedy, it's not quite to the level of the Cornetto trilogy or Scott Pilgrim, but as a film, in terms of filmmaking and editing and everything, it is definitely to the standards set by his other films. As you've mentioned the MCU, any particular films, and are you interested in the spin-offs? The spin-offs on Netflix, I've seen one episode of Jessica Jones, I just haven't watched the rest of it, and a lot of them just didn't appeal to me, so I haven't really seen them. But with the films, favourite MCU film, a lot of them I don't see twice, and I don't know if that's a bad thing, a good thing or a bad thing. I think you can argue they're made for the cinema. That's where they belong, and I think I will argue that. But one I did see twice in cinemas was Ant-Man. It's a great feel-good film. Every time you watch it, you do cheer up. It is a lot of fun. It's got some of the best action in it. So I do really like Ant-Man. The Avengers is always a good one to watch. Guardians of the Galaxy. I did really like the sequel. The sequel, it did feel a little more like a crowd pleaser, I suppose. It did sort of feel like they had to have a lot of these jokes in because people expected it, but it's still a really well made film, and it's still incredibly entertaining. So yeah, I do really like the Marvel films, and I don't really have a favourite, so to speak, but I do really enjoy them. And I think the big issue with them is they are getting quite formulaic. They tend to always begin with a flashback, but they always add something new. There's always something to draw you back in. There's always something there. Oh yeah, Doctor Strange, that's a good one. I'm going to say Avengers, Ant-Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Should Sherlock be brought back, and if so, how do you think it would actually end? I'm of the opinion that the final problem, if you look at it on a script level, is incredibly flawed. The logic behind the plan doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Taking that away, it thematically feels right. It feels like if Sherlock had to end, that's a good place to end it. I mean, they've even said they don't know if they're doing another series. I've heard people saying they'll do a special or something. But I don't think you need to continue it. I think that's a good ending. Like Mark Gatiss put it best, that Sherlock is almost the origin story of them becoming the Holmes and Watson of the books. And that's kind of where they ended it. They go off on more adventures. It's sort of like Sarah Jane Adventures, where it ended with the text, and the story goes on forever. And yeah, I think you should just sort of leave it there. That having that image of John and Sherlock and John running out of that, what was it, Rathbone Place. That I'd be very happy if that was the last image we ever had of Sherlock. It's good. I think The Final Problem is a good way to end it, and I can't really think of any other way you could end it. So yeah, The Final Problem I think is a good way to end it. If you don't want to do a special, fine, but don't. But if it's just a standalone thing, nothing too big. Maybe just do a case like The Hound of Baskervilles, where it was just another case that went on. Nothing huge was discovered. It was just another case. And finally,
what's the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything?
The answer to the ultimate question is 42. But the question, no one knows the question. Not read any Douglas Adams. I've not seen the TV show or the film. I will at some point. But are you asking for the question? I guess it could be 40 plus 2. I feel like I have a witty answer within me, I just can't get it out. I took a long time with that, but you did ask a lot of questions. Legomachetemad asks, so one character who hasn't been on the show for years has to return from Doctor Who. Who would you like it to be, if they want to do that? Also, what do you think about the possible return of River Song? That always seems like something that's on the cards. I'd really like to see the return of the Valeyard. The Valeyard is an amalgamation of the darker side of the Doctor's nature. And here's the confusing bit. He's from somewhere between the 12th and final incarnations of the Doctor. It's kind of just the concept alone is just such a strange concept that I think you really could go with that. A lot of people say, well, you can't bring him back now because we're beyond the 12th incarnation. A lot of people debate how you count the incarnations of the Doctor. Some people think Peter Capaldi's the 14th because of the Meta-Crisis, but I don't count the Meta-Crisis as an incarnation. He's created from the 11th for a generation, but he's not an incarnation of the Doctor. So the way I take it, the 12th Doctor, he's the 12th Doctor, but in his 13th body. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is to just ignore the continuity at all. Just say, he's the Doctor from the future. Trial of the Valeyard offers a possible backstory for the Doctor. It doesn't really fit now, but you could still work from there. So I always thought the Valeyard could have been created from psychic pollen, which is used in Amy's Choice to create the Dream Lord, so you could do that. I think what they should do is have Michael Jaston, the original actor, come back, and then have him regenerate into a younger actor, like, I'm going to say James Nesbitt. Bring back James Nesbitt as the Valeyard. The Valeyard in the future would be great to see. And also, what do you think of the possible return of River Song? That's not been rumoured, nothing's been said. And he said it's always on the cards. Well, it kind of always is. There's loads of gaps in her timeline. I think her story's done. Husbands of River Song kind of wrapped it up quite nicely. But the audio dramas are still being made with Alex Kingston, and she's met the 8th, 7th and 6th incarnations of the Doctor. In the show, at least, I think it's done. I think that's her story wrapped up. So this is from Beth Gardner, and they're all about Bastille. What's your favourite Bastille album? I realise the best atmosphere for a Bastille song is in a car at night. I don't know why, but that is just amazing atmosphere. Favourite album? They've done 2. They've done Bad Blood and Wild World. Bad Blood was re-released as All This Bad Blood. All This Bad Blood is Bad Blood with an extra disc with a lot of different songs on there. I really like the atmosphere. I don't know what it is. There's just sort of this great atmosphere to Bad Blood. Sort of the themes of the songs. With the All This Bad Blood, it kind of loses it at the end because it goes into this strange sort of mixtape. I think I prefer Bad Blood. I just sort of have sort of nostalgic memories of listening to that a few years ago. What's your favourite Bastille song? I really like The Silence, and I don't know why. I think the way I interpreted the lyrics of The Silence is being unable to communicate with people. It's a great beat as well. It's just got a great chorus and everything. So yeah, I'm going to say The Silence. The Silence, I feel very good saying that The Silence is my favourite. What's your favourite song from the album Wild World, which is their second album? I'm going to say Glory. I really like Glory, and I have to know what it is. I think again it's that sort of atmosphere to it, and it almost doesn't feel like it belongs to that album. It feels like it should be on Bad Blood, because it feels more like the themes with Bad Blood. Yeah, so I'm going to say, yeah, I've just forgot this. Snakes, I really like. So part of it is the backtrack, but again, it's the lyrics kind of resonate with me. So I'm gonna say a tie between Glory and Snakes. Well, that's it, I'm afraid. God, how long was that? That must be like an hour and a half at least. So yeah, put in the comments below, what did you think of this? Did you like the answers to my questions? Did they satisfy you? And do you want to see more? Do you want to see more of Qanda? Do you want to see Qanda 2, the question Strike Back, or whatever, or Qanda 3, Revenge of the... No, Qanda 5, Revenge of the 5th? Or something like that. Thank you for putting these questions, and again, massive thank you for 60 subscribers, which I think is now 64, but still, thank you for all that, thank you for the questions, and thank you for watching through this incredibly long video. So I will see you next time.